Welcome to Backseat Directing,
where we talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Aaron.
And today we are doing a special edition on Aaron's first anime.
Let's get started.
We need like an anime edition of our song.
Oh, man. If we did this full time, I would have made like a special intro for this. So we just need more people to like, comment, subscribe to help us out so we can make a cool intro for our animated session.
One day we'll start doing ads, but that day is not today. So
I'm on the couch here, Andrew. Why am I on the couch?
Aaron is on the couch with me today because of our special edition episode. Aaron, my good friend, has never seen an anime. He's never watched an anime. So today he has undertaken the task, the responsibility of allowing me to show him his first anime, and I have the honor of choosing which one he's going to watch. The deal that I'm proposing is that I will get 3 chances, and I have 3 different shows that he will give a good try, and if he doesn't like any of the 3 down the line, I'll give up. But those are my 3 chances to make him fall in love with the genre, and I'm very excited because I love anime. I've been watching it since I was a little kid, with shows like Dragon Ball and Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, Naruto. But the show that kind of was actually my gateway anime is what we're going to watch today. This is a show that got me back into anime after not watching it for a really long time. I found this show actually ironically on Netflix because that's where we're going to be watching it now. It is called Attack on Titan. That's what Aaron's going to be watching today. And before we delve into it, I have some questions for the man himself. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. What do you got?
All right, so
hopefully they're not like quiz questions.
So, what is the main character's first and last name before you watch the show?
I don't know.
So, my first question
he's got notes. Okay.
is just to get a feel. I like to be prepared.
All right.
Is just to get a feel for before and after. Okay. So, my first question for before is, what kind of show do you think this is, and what do you think it's about? What do you, in terms of the category of, do you think it's funny, action, dramatic, and what do you think is the concept of the show? Because I know you're coming into this kind of with a blank slate.
Oh, honestly, I don't really know. I haven't, because before we did this episode, right, you didn't tell me which anime we're going to be watching, so I haven't like looked into this at all. I've heard of Attack on Titan before through you talking about it. It was actually on one of our top 5 favorite TV show episodes, which is coming out. So I've heard of it, but I don't honestly know much about it. I'm assuming it's a little bit more serious just based off of some things that I've heard, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm hoping for some good action, and I'm hoping for like a weighted emotional impact as well. I don't know if that's something that this will have or not, but I guess we'll find out.
If you had to do a complete guess based off the title, what do you think is going to be like the point of the show?
Well, I think that there's a small town or a town or something, and that these giant, huge beings or titans come and attack this town. I don't know if that's right or wrong or what, but
we'll have to find out.
I've seen pictures of really, really big things on this. Whether they're creatures or people or machines, I'm not really sure.
We're gonna find out soon enough. But I have 2 more questions. So my second question is, what do you think you're going to enjoy the most about watching anime, and what do you think you're worried you won't like about watching anime?
That's a good question. I'm most excited for just the animation style and the kind of all the drawings and stuff that go into it. That's something that's really interests me in a lot of animated shows that I've been watching leading up to this, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, like Invincible, and some other shows like that have like this animated style. I know this is anime and it's a little bit different, but I'm excited to see how they differ and how they're similar. and I've heard nothing but good things about action scenes from anime, so I'm excited to see those.
To be clear, Aaron has watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I consider to be a merime or closer to a cartoon because it's not it's not written from a manga. It's not written originally in Japanese.
Anime. What is anime?
So anime are these animated TV shows originally based, I believe, my understanding is out of Eastern Asia because they have shows out of Korea and China as well, but mainly from Japan, based on Japanese manga, which are basically these very popular Japanese books that are similar to what we see as comic books, with drawn images and then writing for the character dialogue or narration. And they have a very specific style. It's not for everyone, but there is a huge growing group of fans in America. It's always been huge in Japan. And these shows make a lot of money, and they make great, awesome, well-reviewed shows and movies out of them.
And then to answer your second part of your question, what am I maybe nervous that I won't like about it? I think the hardest part is just listening to it in Japanese. We're going to do that first. And then, because, I don't know, I normally listen to shows with subtitles on, but normally I use it kind of as a backup.
Supplemental.
Yeah, to just make sure I'm hearing it properly.
I think that's a lot of people's fear with getting into anime is like, they maybe don't want to watch it in English and they're worried, and a lot of people don't like subtitles. It's a valid, everyone has their own opinion.
So we're going to try it that way first. If I don't like it, we'll switch it over to the dub version, which just means that it's English over top of it or whatever, instead of the Japanese. So we'll try it this way first, see how it goes. I'm going to try to enjoy it how it was meant to be enjoyed.
I have one final question before we dive into it, and it's a much simpler question than the other two.
Lay it on me.
This question is, do you trust in my recommendations?
Oh.
Think hard.
In shows and movies, yes. That's probably about it.
I was gonna say what is it food? Is it lifestyle choices?
No, I don't think I can trust you on any
literally anything else. Okay. All right. Well, with no further ado, we are about to begin Attack on Titan Episode 1, To You After 2,000 Years, The Fall of Shiganshina, Part 1. Super long title. But let's get into this. Aaron, I'm excited.
All right, let's go. Have you learned any Japanese from this?
Like 3 words. If they say like daijoubuka, that means are you okay? That's like the only thing I know. So they switch animation studios eventually, and they switch to Mappa, who does a really incredible job. But people forget how good the show was animated before them too, because it's really top tier.
So this is based off the manga, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't want anyone knowing he's a little crybaby.
Every anime protagonist starts out as a little crybaby.
It's over. To be continued.
It's a cliffhanger.
Ugh.
What'd you think?
Well, I got the emotional aspect that I was hoping for, huh? Maybe not the emotions that I wanted, but the emotion was there.
Man, it is a gut-wrenching show. Like, the mom who, like, was, like, crying holding her son's arm, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I forgot, like, how sad the beginning episode was. And then, like, they really draw the time out when his mom is dying, just, like, slow, like, her being crushed and eaten.
Yeah. I hope there's some positives that happen in this show. I have a feeling it's gonna just be all dark.
It might not be the best show for a balance of emotions, but it tears through you, dude. It's so sad. That was good. It's a good first episode. Was it what you expected the show to be?
It was pretty close, yeah. Like I said, I think I had a little bit of a gist of what's gonna happen. I've seen like little clips of the city and the monsters, the Titans before, but I didn't know much about the actual story itself. But I kind of had the premise down.
What did you think about watching it in Japanese?
It in the beginning it was kind of hard to focus. Like I felt like I had to really focus to figure out what's going on rather than just being able to sit back and kind of enjoy the show. You know, I felt like I had to think the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I don't overly like, but we'll keep going. We'll keep giving it a try this way.
We are now starting Attack on Titan episode 2, That Day, The Fall of Shiganshina part 2. All right.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it then.
It looks so creepy.
Yeah, they draw them. Yeah, they do a good job of drawing them that way. Like they just look weird. They make you feel heebie-jeebies. Yeah. So, second episode. What are you thinking?
Good. I mean, there's a lot of questions. Obviously, you know, it's hard to judge any series by just 2 episodes. But so far, so good. Little slow, but I mean, I'm assuming it picks up. Yeah, it's pretty dark, which I should have known because it's coming from you as a recommendation, and that's your style with any kind of show or movie. The darker, the better.
Yeah. The thing about anime is that there's not always constant fights. Especially a show like this, Attack on Titan. I think what they do, like with their 25 episode format, is where they use the action hits like incredibly hard, but there's not necessarily going to be just a fight, like a lengthy fight every episode. Like for me, when the Armored Titan comes running through the wall, like it's extremely exciting, even if it's like not really a fight. It's just like I feel like they use the exciting aspects, like they sprinkle them throughout, and like they really impact when they do use them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just a lot of setup for future storylines and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's exposition. You haven't even seen combat yet, so
yeah.
But it's a very emotional start. I think it's like a pretty shocking start. Like I said, I wasn't expecting whole village to go down like that, like right off rip in the show.
Hundreds of thousands of people dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, brutal.
It's a good show. So this is one of my favorite animes because of the gruesome nature of the show, because of the shocking twists, and the way that they really don't hold back. I mean, excuse me. In the first episode, right off the bat, we start with a 200-foot tall colossal titan just peering over the edge of the wall and just looking down on terrified citizens. And then by the end of that episode, we've got the wall getting kicked in, killing thousands of people, crushing them under rocks, blood splashing everywhere. The show is very intense. I mean, I really love how they focus on intense, emotional, and really adult themes. They throughout, we'll see them focus. So far, we've already seen them touch on important themes like freedom, things like classism. I mean, we've got the people inside the next wall in the second episode not wanting to provide food and aid to their neighbors. They don't see why they should have to give things to help these other people. There's going to be a lot more that I won't mention now because Arron has more of the show to watch, but they touch on a lot of themes in very adult ways, the same way that like a cartoon like Avatar: The Last Airbender reaches really far beyond their original scope. This show does the same thing, and it really just makes you think. It makes you kind of question good and bad. It makes you kind of question like these monsters. It really makes you think deeply about something that at first glance might look like just an animated show, but this anime is really impressive. Like it makes you cry, it makes you jump out of your seat, the music swells. I can't wait for you to get more into it, but they're just willing to cross lines. They're willing to show so much death and destruction, and I like that aspect, that, like I said, no holds barred.
Yeah, you're a gruesome guy.
I like shock factor. I mean, people complain about shock factor as being cheap, but I like something that really draws me in, that feeling of I can't believe they just did that, or I have to rewind to watch that again. I want to feel like you're pushing the boundaries. I mean, you could write 1,000 shows in that safe little box, or 1,000 sitcoms, but the one that I'm going to pick is the show that is, breaking the mold.
Yeah, I hear you. Maybe I'm a little worried about you. Because the main shows you like are all these sad, depressing, where they're pushing the limits of death.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to watch that stuff if I had that big of a problem with it. I wouldn't be able to watch it. So the fact that I love it is a good sign.
Okay, whatever you say.
Whatever helps me sleep at night.
That's right. So, how is this show rated and compared to other animes? Is it, I know it's one of your favorites, but is it kind of overall taken the same way from everyone else that watches anime?
So this show is widely revered. It has. I can go into a few facts about it, but I want to pull up IMDb's top 10 TV show episodes. So Attack on Titan holds several episodes in the top 10 TV show episodes of all time on IMDb. It holds second place, third place, and breaching further out of top 10, it holds the 13 spot, the 14 spot, the 16 spot. So if you look at the top 25 episodes of all time, then you've got another one in 23. So the top 25 episodes of all time, Attack on Titan has about 6 of those episodes from one TV show. Dang. So this is one of the most highly regarded and rated, not just animes of all time, but television series of all time. And this is, a common top 5 pick in the anime community, I'd say.
I'm curious, what are some of the other in the top 10 or whatever?
Understandably, I mean, you've got Breaking Bad. You've got episodes from Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Mr. Robot, obviously Game of Thrones, and then Hunter x Hunter, another anime, getting thrown in there. There's a couple episodes from Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, but I think as far as the top 25 spot goes, Attack on Titan seems to be the one show with the most of its episodes in there. There's, I think, 3 episodes from Breaking Bad in that top 5, and about 3 from Game of Thrones.
So the show seems to only climb from here, huh?
Oh yeah. Those top 5 episodes, I don't think any of them are from the first season. Or those top 6 episodes that made it in, I don't think are from the first season. So there's a lot of good content to delve into. I mean, like you said, you're going up. But let me go over some quick facts about the show, and intermittently I will tie it into your opinions on them, because this episode is about you and your first anime. So Attack on Titan has a 9.0 on IMDb. It originally aired, I have the date here, September 28th, 2013. Originally airing in Japan, and the show has just been breaking barriers ever since. It has 15 television show awards for all kinds of different organizations, like from the BTVA. These are anime awards. And amongst 24 nominations, it holds all those places in the IMDb top 25 episodes. This show is still ongoing now. They've animated up to season 4, part 2, and the next season has not yet been announced, but they will be animating a season 4, part 3. And this show has been airing from 2013 until currently, so it's already been going on for 10 years, and it's continuing to go on. It's an incredibly successful for any TV show run.
So they do a season almost every 2 years or so.
Yes. Yeah. Recently, things have slowed down with anime. We talked about this in one of our other episodes, but they put so much effort into animating the seasons that it takes a little bit longer for them to come out, 2 or 3 year timeline as opposed to a year. A lot of people in the animation business in Japan and in the field of anime actually end up overworking themselves to the point of illness. It's almost like a common phenomenon where they're overworked and they reach points of exhaustion because they put so much into drawing these and animating these stories.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate how long it takes to actually draw all of these shots. Because, I mean, if they're a standard frames per second for a movie that we're used to watching is typically 24 frames per second. So that means for 1 second, if they want to have that smooth motion, then they have to do 24 pictures for 1 second of content. So a lot of shows like this will lower that, maybe do 12 to 18. But still, that's 12 to 18 pictures that they have to draw and paint and color and shade and do the inking, the outlines for a second. And these are 22 minutes long. So you can just think about right there of how many pictures are going into this shot or into one episode. So like 2 years sounds like a lot, but at the same time, it sounds like, wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround. Quick Google search looks like they usually have about 5,000 to 10,000 frames in an episode. So that's quite a bit of work.
10,000 pictures in an episode. That's crazy.
So the budget for the show, if you had to guess, how much money do you think they spend on a season animating Attack on Titan?
I don't really know what a budget for an anime would be. I would 50 million?
It's actually only an average between all the seasons of $5 million per season.
Oh wow!
Average of around $150,000 to $160,000 per episode.
Okay, I mean that's still a boatload of money.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money. But so all that money they put into it, and like you said, they still have to use the still frames. It's a problem some people have with anime. My fiance in particular, she doesn't like the fight scenes in anime. I tried like hell to get her to watch anime, but it's just not for everybody, So she doesn't like the way that a lot of the explanation and exposition takes place inside their head. During a fight, they'll freeze frame and explain things. They use a lot of freeze frames, like you said, to fill gaps in time. How did you feel about that throughout this episode?
So like we talked about, there wasn't a ton of actual fights in this episode. So I don't think I really saw too much of that. But I did notice that it took me a second to realize that they were showing their thoughts at certain points, rather than just talking.
Yeah.
Because obviously the words don't really line up with the lips for me, because I don't know Japanese. So, and I'm not really looking at their lips, so then when I'm realizing like, oh, this is in their head, it took a second to figure that out. In terms of like the action and stuff, at certain parts it was maybe a little hard to figure out what was going on because they're going so fast, or like they seem to change like directions and orientation quite a bit. But I didn't mind it, but I can see why maybe some people don't like it.
These are things that like
it's a cool style choice.
It's interesting to hear you say it from your perspective, from somebody who's kind of coming into it fresh, because these are things that like anime trains your brain to adapt to. It's like when we first started reading comic books, we maybe didn't know exactly where to follow the line of the story or the thought, but the more you read them, the more it's like, oh, like I'm reading upper left corner to bottom right corner, and your brain starts to do that for you without you thinking about it.
When they do like a jagged line around the box, it typically means it's from a cell phone or from some sort of automated sound.
Yeah, you start to intuit those things. And anime is the same way, where the more I continue to watch sub, the more I read it without noticing that I'm reading it, and I follow the story, kind of just simultaneously.
Yeah.
For me, it's more like you read the subtitles and you kind of feel everything else, like you're just absorbing visually. I'm not really watching their lips like you said. Mm-hmm. So the fact that it doesn't match up doesn't matter for me. I'm kind of more absorbing the feeling or emotion behind the words in Japanese, because I don't speak Japanese, so I'm just kind of like absorbing it, and I feel like it creates like a cool, unique feeling. Anime definitely like has that on its end, and it also on its merits has like really unique stories that other movies and shows, like American movies and shows, don't tend to tell. And it's like so bombastic and over the top in anime. Like,
yeah, the voice acting is very dramatic.
Yeah.
Even in Japanese,
it's not really like known for its subtlety, like the way we talk about main characters always crying. Like everything brings Arron to tears because it's like everything is so over the top in anime, which is great. People honestly complain that like going back from anime to regular TV is hard because it's like you got like a shot of like epinephrine or norepinephrine, like you got the adrenaline because anime is so over the top, and then when you go back to things that have subtleties like real shows, it's like, where's the energy? Why aren't you screaming?
Yell louder.
But so how did you feel like this differed from like when you watch shows that are cartoons like Avatar, Invincible, Arcane? What do you feel like was different, and what did you like or not like about that?
It seems like most of the American-based animations that I've seen maybe animate more frames per second or like kind of show motion a little bit more than this show did. This one seemed a little more blocky, or where they would have just different layers of pictures on top of each other and they'd be like kind of sliding side by side, you know. It seems like in Invincible and Avatar The Last Airbender, it's a little more smooth.
Yeah, anime's like a visual comic book that way, which is honestly kind of cool. Sometimes we'll get really in depth with like showing the motion, or sometimes, especially with like a swordsman scene, you'll basically see them at one point and then teleport to another point, and then you just see the damage. Right. And like that is, in a way, it's really like the animated version of a comic book. You know, they're just using a few extra tools here and there to make it so that it's more than a flip book.
Yeah, when I was watching this, it felt like I was less so watching it through a camera. You know, like a lot of American style animation, it feels like you're watching it through a camera. With this, it felt like there was maybe no boundaries or rules per se. You know, like you can kind of go to any angle at any time.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I think a lot of times the goal with American animation, for whether it's a cartoon or movie, is to make you feel drawn into it by the fact that it feels like there's a camera. They make you feel like there's a physical camera in a physical space, and it makes it feel more real. Whereas anime doesn't necessarily take that approach, and it just feels like you know, like it's off a page.
Yeah,
like it's whatever perspective they really want.
Which I guess in like comic books or even manga too, like, you obviously don't draw every moment in time, you know, so the camera or the lens is flipping from panel to panel and going in different directions. So kind of felt like that when you were watching this, you know, it just kind of each frame kind of goes to a different panel.
Yeah, the cool thing that I wanted to say about Attack on Titan is that it's one of the best plots in anime, and I saw a meme the other day that explained Attack on Titan's plot as just kind of like this web of like cyclical plot lines where everything circles back to, you know, one sun, everything rotates in one central body. And it's cool rewatching it because you can really see that the plot of Attack on Titan is cyclical, and they clearly had an intention from the very beginning. Like they followed their plan. Hajime, who was the creator for the manga, like he had it like
worked
planned out. Yeah. And you can really see that like shine when you rewatch it. That's really interesting. Not many shows or stories can do that well and tie it in.
Yeah. Have you read any manga?
A little bit. I've just started Hunter x Hunter. It was my first manga. It's one of my favorite animes. So I want to get more into it, but I'm just starting out.
Okay, cool. Whenever you are finished, I'll
follow along.
Give you my library card and check out your book.
Yeah, manga's really cool. It's different because you read it the opposite direction of a normal comic or book.
Right.
So it's definitely like same thing with anime. It's like an adaptation where you get used to a different kind of style. So with the show, how'd you feel about the voice acting? Were you able to focus like on it as along with the reading, and did you feel connected to the voices and the music? Because I personally feel the voices and the music of the show are big strengths, and they make me they tug at my emotions.
I can feel the intensity behind the voices, but I feel like there was kind of only two tones to the voices, and that's kind of the monotone and then the aggression, you know, and that was kind of it. Even for like other emotions, it was either monotone or aggression.
There's probably more subtleties to be picked up on though when you speak the language. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, there's less that we can take out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like you could kind of. I feel like I can hear a lot though. I mean, I've watched a lot more than you, but I feel like I could hear a range. Like I could hear.
I'm focusing on trying to figure out what the story is by reading.
Oh, it takes a lot of focus in the beginning of Attack on Titan. I was thinking that too. Like so many unexplained things when you're starting
now that
out.
you're watching it and you know what happens in the future, you're able to maybe not read every single word and kind of experience the rest of the show that maybe you didn't the first time around.
Because I am reading, but I also know all the thoughts behind what they're going to say.
Yeah, you're more so probably like skimming through it, know, and I'm trying to figure out pretty much every word that they're saying, so I know what goes. You
start to get basically skimming through it. Like when you watch it more and more, your brain starts to just absorb the words on the bottom, and like you're able to watch everything going on. Who did you feel like was your favorite character so far? I know it's not very far into the show. He's only watched the first 2 episodes.
The Muscle Titan. I don't know. It's too early to say. Like,
so you picked a villain?
I don't know. There's just not. I don't have enough to really determine who's my favorite. There's a lot of mystery behind the girl. What's her name?
Mikasa.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery behind her, so she's intriguing. I mean, the main character. I mean, the point he's the main character is because the author's trying to get you to like him, right? So I mean, he's cool too, but I haven't seen his like development yet. Yeah. I have an idea of where it's going. I
like how passionate he is in the very beginning. Like, I like that he's so adamant about what he believes in, and I respect him for it. The way he walks right up to that adult and just kicks him, because in his mind that he's slandering all these people who have just been through a tragedy, and he's like disrespecting the struggles of the people in Shiganshina who are attacked by the Titans. And like Arron just has kind of no fear about him to kind of to the level of foolishness or stupidity, but I respect his like grit. He's a very interesting character.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch more. Yeah, I'll keep watching it. I know you said you have 2 other shows in the barrel just in case.
Yeah, I'd say if you watch the first 10 episodes of this and you're just not feeling it, we'll move on to the next one.
Every time you talk about how many episodes I have to watch, the number increases.
It went from 6
all right,
to
first
8.
we'll watch just the first one. And then it's no. You gotta watch the first 3 before you can determine if you like it or not. And now it's 10. Once I get to 10, you're gonna be like, no. You gotta finish the first 3 seasons, and then you can determine if you like it or not.
The 3rd season is really, really good. It's really good. No, we'll get back into this and discuss it here and there, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts when you're further in. And hey, if you guys watch this far and you love anime, please let me know what you think of my pick as the first thing for Arron to watch. If you don't respect it, give me some recommendations. Tell me what you think newcomers to anime or anybody who already watches anime even should watch. Give me your opinions and recommendations. I'd love to hear them, and maybe that'll factor into the other 2. I have 2 in mind, but I'm willing to hear anybody out.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching Backseat Directing. Go ahead and give us a like, a thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, and all the other podcast apps. We're on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, so go ahead and give us a follow. Comment down below in the comments. We'd love to have a conversation with you guys. Thanks for listening.
Share us with your friends and tag somebody who you think needs to start watching anime. And that's a wrap.